Hi, this is Kim with www.embody-light.com, and I will link my website in the description below. And I do hypnotherapy, psychic readings, Akashic records work, twin flame work, past life regressions, energy healing, Reiki, all kinds of things. So please check out my website. And if you have not subscribed, please do so and hit the like button. So today's just going to be a little quick video about hypnosis and meditation. I had made one probably 2 years ago that I took down. I've got more information to add to it now, and some of my earlier videos I just took down because I look too old. So anyway, I'm going to start by telling you what actually hypnosis is. Hypnosis, it's a natural state of mind that we go into all the time on our own throughout the day. It's when you're in that deeply relaxed state and there's a function that we have within us called the critical factor, or critical function. And that's the part of our brain that makes comparisons. Is this new information coming in similar to what I already know and believe? Um, if it's yes, you file it, in with your set of beliefs. But if not, it kind of touches up against your beliefs and it makes you start looking into other things. So that's the critical factor. So in hypnosis, we put you into a very deeply relaxed state. And the purpose is to block that critical function, critical factor, so that we can add new information. People use it a lot to, like, for just plain hypnosis, like for phobias or weight loss or smoking, those kinds of things. But the hypnosis part of it, because I'm going to explain hypnotherapy in a little bit, but the hypnosis part of it is more effective when it's just like a minor issue, not a real deep issue. If like if you're smoking or overeating, gambling, shopping too much, whatever, if it's to distract yourself and cover up a trauma, or if it's just a little habit, I would say it that way. So the difference between meditation and hypnosis: in meditation, you're quieting your mind to be more receptive, and in hypnosis, you're quieting your mind to be more receptive, but we're trying to provoke a reaction to get those things that are blocking you out to the surface. So it can be used for, as I just talked about, benevolent purposes, but also malevolent purposes. Whenever, like advertising would be a malevolent purpose, where they're telling you over and over and over again that you need this, whatever, and pretty soon you start to believe it. But the other thing, there's a certain state of hypnosis that you would put someone into, say, like for a surgery. And that that's referred to as, well, in my training, my trainer referred to it as the basement of hypnotherapy or hypnosis. It's your normal level of hypnosis, but you go down 3 levels to get that. But now, say you've got somebody who's in extreme pain and you've got to put them into hypnosis right away. Like it's used in labor. Well, a mother having a labor pain, you're not going to be able to tell her, okay, relax, this part of your body, that's not going to work. So what you do, and I don't really even like to do this so much because I don't like to yell, but you yell sleep or something, and it shocks the person so much that they automatically, when you're in shock, you go into that state where you can very easily be fed new information. And that's what's happened with some of the things that have happened in our world. They use the shock factor, then everybody believes that, oh, we need more government controls or whatever to keep this from happening again. So that's the malevolent reason. So the other thing I'm going to talk about is, well, first of all, I trained in clinical hypnosis, which is more for things like, phobias, your everyday normal things. And hypnotherapy, when you're doing that, you're putting that person into that very deep state. And the reason you're doing that is because when you're in that deep state, memories can surface that you might have just forgotten about. So they can remember and make the connections. Oh, I overeat because when I was a child, blah, 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 blah. And then once they recognize the behavior, it's much easier to stop it. But so with hypnotherapy, we've got to go in and find the root cause of it. We go in and we take power back. We figure out if it's something that has to do with a contract or a family curse or what exactly is causing the issue. Then we probably have to do inner child work, forgiveness work, taking your power back. Those are all parts of hypnotherapy. So it is a little bit different. Now, what I wanted to talk about is that there's certain brain levels that you're going to go through while you're going through hypnosis and into dream state. So typically when you do hypnosis or hypnotherapy, sorry, I can't talk today, hypnotherapy, you bring the person into a state of, it's called somnambulance, but there is a very deeper level that you bring somebody into, that's theta. Now, the theta level is the level of our brain activity where we're actually connecting to source, guides, and angels. And so you're in that state right as you're falling asleep and right as you're waking up. And that's the level you're in when you're dreaming, the theta level. Now, that's where your dream state is, and that's where our deepest healing occurs. And beyond theta, we also have some other levels. I have to look at my notes. So I talked about the theta level. Then we have the gamma level. That's the fastest, oscillates at about 100 hertz or more. And that's when we're in intense focus, fully engaged in problem solving. When you're at your peak in conversation, beta is 12 to 38. That's dominant when you're awake, alert, and engaged. And alpha, when you're sitting quietly, relaxed, not thinking about anything in particular, that's maybe 8 to 12. And then we've got delta, which is below theta, and that's your very deep restorative sleep. That's 0.5 to 4 hertz. And the theta wave, did I write that down, what that actually is? Or maybe I said it earlier. I don't think I wrote that down, what the actual measurement of that is. So you go through these very deep states. And so when you're doing any kind of healing work with a person, you want to bring them to that very deep state, that theta state, and you want to help the person learn to get into that themselves. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about is binary beats. That's where you have two noises, two sounds, one in one ear, one in the other, and they're similar but different. Well, that helps your brain get into the theta state. You can buy tuning forks. I actually have some that are for binary beats where you can actually hold them up and listen to them, but you can probably find some recordings on the internet. That's going to help you to get into that very deep state. The last thing I wanted to mention, and I hadn't talked about it yet, is quantum hypnosis. And that's the one that you hear about with Dolores Cannon. Although I didn't train in that, I have done similar work, but this is where they're trying to find out your past lives, your current lives, and life before you came to this planet, if you were on a different planet than Earth. And so that's a completely different thing. But it's also very therapeutic and healing for people. So I'm going to just take a couple of minutes. And one of the things, and I've talked about this before, but I'm going to say it again in case anybody is new to this channel. This is my favorite example, a couple of them, of what kind of things you can do with hypnotherapy. So this is one of the examples that my instructor gave in our training, that he was seeing somebody for agoraphobia. That's where you can't leave the house due to fear, anxiety, whatever reason. And so he started working with this man. And what had happened was he had been functioning normally till one day he was at a convenience store and it seemed like everything just shifted and he couldn't leave the house anymore and he didn't know why. So, what he found out through hypnotic regression was that um, years and years before this man had been, I don't remember if it was like a store that got robbed or a bank, but he had been at a store or a bank, whatever the situation was, where they were robbed and a gun was used. So, he just kind of buried that. Big tough guy, went about his life, didn't think much of it until he was in the convenience store that day and he didn't know what happened. But what it was is there was a construction worker in there with like a staple gun in his belt. And of course, a staple gun looks much different than another gun, but he just saw it out of the corner of his eye. He made that comparison and it put him right back into the fear of that first time when he was actually threatened. And so, with the hypnosis and the hypnotherapy, once he realized what had happened and was able to work through it, he was fine. Another example I want to give, and this is one that's more, would require more therapy and was more personal, but this was one of the students in our hypnotherapy training because as we were learning it, they were putting us through it to learn it. So the teacher works with this one guy who the history is that he was a teacher, and the only reason he was doing the training in hypnotherapy was because he did a lot of coaching and he wanted to learn some techniques that would help the children with the coaching. Not hypnotherapy per se, but he just wanted techniques. So the teacher does an example regression on him, and what they got to was very interesting. He regressed him all the way back, and you can do that, to his pre-planning stage before he came into this lifetime. And he was afraid to leave. He was with Source, and Source was telling him and his guides and angels it would be all right. But what it was he was actually adopted into this family. Well, the mother was mentally ill. She had schizophrenia, but the father was fine. Well, the young man wanted to experience this type of family dysfunction because he knew he was going to be working with teens and students, and he knew it would be a valuable experience to have because some of them would be going through the same thing. But yet, he did not want the genetic component, the possibility that he would have that, or it could be, passed on to his children. So he came into an adopted situation so he could experience that. So once he understood that and was able to heal from that and understood the reason and that he actually chose it, he was finally able to heal it and come to terms with some of the things that had happened in his childhood. So, that being said, have a blessed day. Again, my website is www.embody-light.com. My name is Kim. I do psychic readings, hypnotherapy. I do a lot of singing bowl meditations. Some of them are free. If you're interested, contact me through my website. I have a free one coming up on the 12th of December. And so if you're interested, just send me a message and I'll get a Zoom invite out to you. Again, I love you all. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.